Welcome back for another preview video. Today I'm very excited to show you how the new game called Fairytale plays. And the reason I'm very excited is because this game is a game that I can see myself playing a lot with my family, with my fellow gaming group players. And the reason for that is that it's an amazing, beautifully looking, eye candy type of a game which has nice story, nice narration and great flow. I've done a separate unboxing video for the prototype. You can see that this is an advanced prototype which is, I would say, almost complete, and you can see the level of detail of the components. It's really astonishing how much detail they've poured into the design of this prototype. I can only be excited about how the game looks, and this is a game that I'm sure a lot of people will be very proud to have their collection and on their tables to play it and to showcase it to their friends. But I'm here to talk to you about how the game plays, explain the game rules, and tell you also at the end of this video more about my first impressions about the game from the first story I played and the feeling it left with me. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm going to add a link in the description of the video below where you can find more about the crowdfunding. It's starting really soon, so you can find out more when the game launches and all the possibilities that the campaign offers and the game itself. In this video you'll see a completely detailed a set of rules with everything on how the game plays. I'm going to add timestamps in the description of the video so you can go directly to specific sections of the rules that may interest you in particular. And then at the end of this video I'm giving you my initial first impressions from my first story that I played with the game. So let me tell you first of all that the game falls under the category of fantasy dungeon crawlers, that they are accessible and they are orientated towards the whole family. That means this is a cooperative game where players are trying to navigate through either specific single-shot stories that you can play in any of the 10 stories that the game offers, or play them interconnected in a way from story 1 to story 10 to make up for a full campaign. I'm sure there's going to be a ton of things unlocked, even a third game mode that you can play, which is called Twister, I think, and you can find that more I'll find that more when the campaign launches in detail. But it's interesting to know that the game not only offers the single way of playing, the single game mode, but more additional game modes to be played. Also, I'm very happy that I can play specifically one story session. That means I don't have to play the full campaign if I'm just trying to enjoy one full session from time to time. Now, in terms of the gameplay, the game has some interesting perks. It has, first of all, the hero customization, which is very unique, both visually, because you build up your player board by clicking different boards and customizing your weapon, your armor, your offensive ability, your defensive ability, and your different hero portrait. And this is something that we've seen in other games also, but I think in this game it's also nice that it's visually expressed a lot, because you switch full boards with matching components if you are customizing your hero in a specific way. So you can have a tank type of hero, or you can have someone who spreads combat and damage across the various targets, or specifies in a lot of damage to a single target, and so on. So it's a bit of playing around, mixing and matching, and the game gives you flexibility in doing all different sorts of combinations to try anything you want. But also you can switch and come back to differentiate and customize your hero, not just upgrade it with different better versions of your weapons, but also switch paths and try something different along the way through the course of the game and the campaign. That I really liked about the customization and the overall looks of the game. Another thing that I liked is the way that the game is actually like an adventure, like a fairy tale, in terms of you have the exploration phase and the encounter phase. So the exploration phase gets you from raiding from point to point, and depending on your choices you may encounter things, you may encounter different enemies to battle, or you may encounter different stories. So you can see non-player characters or choices or events that they will dictate which direction you take, and every story has all sorts of entries that you're going to follow depending on what you decide to do and how to progress. But in the course of the game you'll have encounters where you either need to make challenges and overcome them, or frequently make combats and battle different enemies that are along your way. What I found interesting, which so far really looks like a very well designed game, but nothing new if someone thinks about that. But what I found really interesting in the mechanism that they have with the Evergem. So there is a story die that dictates you roll it on a specific timing on the course of the game, typically after combat or through the exploration, and depending on the color of the Evergem you a role, different things happen depending on the story you play. So you have the core mechanic of the game, and then depending on the story you can have mini rules or mini differences depending on how much you have progressed through the story, the campaign, or which story specifically you're playing, and I really enjoyed that. So join me at the table, I'll show you how the game plays in practice, and we'll come back at the end of this video for some final opinion and wrap up from my first impressions from the game. Red thread tied tight, spun on the wooden loom at night. Give it a kick to turn once more and watch the fairy tale soar. A famous Greek phrase used to begin fairy tales. Welcome back for another preview video. I'm super excited today to get together with you through the rules and the highlights of Fairytale, this brand new game hitting crowdfunding soon. So let's start with familiarizing ourselves with the universe, the theme, then we'll go quickly through the components and highlights of the game. There is a separate prototype unboxing. This is a very advanced prototype, as you can see, it looks gorgeous. And then we'll go through the gameplay and the rules of the game and how it plays. And finally, I'll come back at the end of this video, as I mentioned before, for my final opinion and wrap up from my first impressions of the game. Keep in mind that we have separate gameplay video, so you can focus on that and find out in practice how the game plays with the first scenario. Now, in terms of the theme and the universe, once upon a time, in the heart of a bustling city, there lived a joyful family with their beloved pets. Xenon, the loyal pud, Eliana, the graceful cat, Christian, the daring hamster, and Hector, the nimble lizard. Though their lives were filled with love, the family longed for a break from the city's noise. So they journeyed to their quiet retreat, a cozy wooden cabin deep in the forest. The first day passed in peaceful bliss, but when dawn broke on the second day, the pets awoke to an alarming sight. The cabin was empty. The beloved family had vanished without a trace. Shocked but determined, the four friends gathered the little supplies they could find and set into the unknown, determined to uncover the mystery and bring their family home. Join our brave heroes on their perilous journey and uncover the secrets lurking in the heart of the magical forest. From hidden groves to grand cities, they will travel far and wide, facing quickly mischievous and sometimes even dangerous encounters that will test their strength and resolve in order to reunite with their lost family. Inspired by famous fairy tales of yore, and story unfolds like an interactive tale where the heroes choose their own adventure and shape their own destiny. In this narrative-driven dungeon crawler, you'll encounter many colorful characters, such as the cunning Naya the fox, and decide whether to confront them head-on or follow a more subtle approach. The choices you make influence how the story unfolds, and every action you take could lead to unexpected twists and turns. Whether you choose to engage in combat, use your wits, or navigate tricky diplomacy, your path will shape the fate of the enchanted world around you. In short, Fairytale is about exploration, adventure, teamwork, and the decisions that guide your heroes through its world. After all this, it's your own fairytale, and you can definitely enjoy it. So, this is the story and the background of the game. Let's now focus a bit on the different components that I have in front of you. Now, the game comes with really absolutely amazing components, and as you can see, there are minis pre-painted, there are different components, gorgeous 3D wooden custom shaped tokens, beautiful art, and all sorts of nice things. But you have to admit with me, the highlight of the game is this eye candy dice tower, which looks absolutely amazing. I'll come back to that in a sec, but for the moment let's place it here. Now, in this advanced prototype, you'll find, as you can see, a rule book. You'll find a separate lore book with the scenarios. You'll find 4 hero boards. On the side, we're going to focus later on the hero board. We're just going to show you up close some of the hero boards. They have the portrait of the hero in the center, and there are different slots both for the health, the craftsmanship, diplomacy, but also there are puzzle-like nodes where you can click your, let's say, combat boards, your defense board, your offensive boards, etc., and customize fully your hero. The hero that you don't see is the lizard on the right, but you'll see them later on when I go through the breakdown of the components. Another thing that you can have is all these boards. As you can see, they have different slots, and there is a way of, on the left you click different armor typically, on the right you can click slots for weapons, on the bottom you have an offensive and defensive board. So there are essentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces together with a hero board that make up the complete hero board for each of our heroes. Let me show you how this looks in a nutshell. We'll go through the anatomy of the hero board later on when we discuss everything, but here is our main hero. Here it's everything pre-assembled. I've slotted all the different puzzle pieces from the armor, from the weapon, the offense board, and the defense board. Offensive board and defensive board, okay, and this can be also upgraded. They have slots for the wooden components. We'll get more into details later on, but just to show you how a fully constructed and assembled player board looks like. Next, the game, or I should say the prototype, comes with 9 dual-sided map tokens. These are again very nicely illustrated, large pieces with great art. As you can see, we have different parts of this nice world that we're playing in, and you can use different number of tiles and different identified by their number, as you can see, 9A and 9B at the back, to construct the map based on the scenario you're playing. You can either play the game as a campaign or single stories, or there is also one more twister that is going to be unlocked as a hidden stretch goal during the crowdfunding campaign. Moving forward, the next thing that we have is a ton of components, so let's focus on those here. You can see these are custom wooden components. There are all sorts of different components that go either on the map as challenges or on your player board as perks that you fill in your, let's say, statistics. You have health tokens, you have armor tokens, you have diplomacy tokens, you have speed tokens, as you can see here. Like that, makes more sense then. You also have craftsmanship tokens. You have, in addition, the what did I show you? Yep, these ones, the swords, the sword tokens. Okay. These are sword tokens. Sorry, let me focus. You also have dagger tokens, or you can have arrow tokens. There are 3 ways of attacking, either with sword, or either with dagger, or with projectiles like arrows. And this is part of the explanation we're going to do later. But another thing that you can do is you can also have general attack tokens. This should be like mainly for the map, I would say, because depending on your hero, if they use a weapon with a sword, they will have swords instead of this general one. This icon, the attack token, stands for all 3 different types of attacks, but on the map it's just a challenge where you need to make, I suppose, a battle. Then next thing that we have is some gems, and there is an interesting mechanic about the gems in this game. They're called ever gems. There are 3 colors, so yellow, red and blue, and through the story you'll be rolling this nice story dice, which has different colors for the gems from the different sides. And this this arrow, the story die, this dice, the story die, as it's called, it has indicates, depending on the story, what happens if you roll for a blue, red, or a yellow ever gem, which you also collect through the game. And they also can be used for all sorts of different things, like following a trail, or hoarding supplies, or or even different things. But the story dictates what they're used for. Now, having said that, the game comes with, as you can see, beautiful inserts. You have baskets. Each hero is going to have this fantastic 3D printed basket on their player board. Another thing is the chest. The game comes with 4 chests, and I've made a separate prototype unboxing where you can see in detail these components. This is amazing. There are 4 of those, and typically the chests are randomized with gems, so there are things to be looted from the heroes through the course of these stories. Okay. Next thing that we have are the plastic miniatures, and as you can see, this is a side. So we have our heroes. Okay. So first of all, you see Hector the gecko miniature. It comes pre-painted. It's really, really nice. Then we have Zynon the pug, again pre-painted. Then we have our Eliana, the cat miniature. And last but not least, we have Christian, the hamster miniature, which looks like a roguelike hero. Okay, so these are the 4 heroes that the players can select. In the game there are different minions, okay? This is like a boss miniature. This is Naya, the fox. It's a very nice, very, very beautifully illustrated, painted, I should say, miniature, okay? That it's like our big boss in our stories. There are also different minions. You have 2 beaver miniatures. This looks like really nice. You can find more about this on the link I'm going to add in the description of the video. You have 3 badger miniatures. These are these miniatures here. They look like a small army from 300, like Spartans of the forest or something like that. They look really, really nice. Okay, beautiful. Then we have 4 rat miniatures. These are these miniatures here. Okay, and last but not least, we have the dice tray of the game, which comes in its own tray, really well protected. It has a slot to drop the dice, as you can see, and then maybe it's easier to do it when it's not sitting in my hand, but then you can collect the dice and see, randomize the results at the bottom. So these are the plastic miniatures. The game comes with a lot of tokens. It also has 3 combat boards, as you can see them here. One, you can slot in cards from the in here, and you can highlight the statistics of the enemies. There are 3 colors: black, silver, and brown. You have different cards for the minions. They come with either no badge, bronze badge, a silver badge, or a gold badge, which actually increases their difficulty. Okay, in the game scenario, the story will dictate exactly which decks to use for the minions. But just want to highlight the beautiful art at the moment here, and you can see the statistics. You know, when they are at the beginning, they have very low statistics, but then they become stronger. And the same goes for the beaver. Okay, so these are the cards of the enemies. Okay, 7 cards for Narnia the fox, and 7 for the badger enemy cards, 7 for the beaver, and also 7 for the rats. Okay, all the way from no badge to bronze badge to silver badge and to gold badge, which is the most difficult. The game comes with several custom dice, except from the story dice that we've seen before. We have the aim and hit dice. They all have 3 colors, so yellow for the projectiles or the arrows, blue for the sword, and purple for the dagger. All of them have the primary color, as you can see, also the green. Having the green, it's used for challenges, because if you roll dice and you get green, that's a success, but if you roll the other colors, it's not a success. But on top of that, mainly these are combat dice, which are used for trying to perform encounters and combat the enemies. Okay, so depending on your play style, for example, if you have a weapon like an arrow or a bow, a bow or something like that, you will be using these dice. The number of dice you use is based on the number of players, and there is a table in the rulebook where it balances out for the number of players how many dice from each type, from the specific type of the weapon the player will have. But just to briefly list them for you now, we have the ones with the yellow and green as secondary color. These are the aim and hit dice. We have the blue ones and green as a secondary color, which are the slice and smash dice, and we have the purple and green color as a secondary, which is the pierce and cut dice. On top of that, we have the underdog dice, which are used for solo. Last but not least, each hero comes with their own deck of cards. As you can see here, our 4 heroes have their portraits. They start with the basic or starting cards, I should say, which have no badges on the top. We're going to go through the anatomy of those cards later on, but through the course of the game, the campaign, you can upgrade them with replacing some of the cards with better versions of them, with the bronze, the silver, or even the gold badge, making them essentially as a reward system for leveling up and making your player decks much more efficient. Last but not least, I want to show you the main map. Actually, this is like the outer part of the box itself, which is like a log. We've seen it on the unboxing video, you can see it there. But as you can see from the inner part, it also, when it opens up, it has the whole area of the universe. It's a very nice illustration, and it also is separated by chapters. So if you check on the draft rulebook, you'll see that, for example, on the top there is the chapter 1, chapter 2, and so on, highlighting on which area of this world we are focusing on based on our full campaign. Now, what you see in front of you is the first story, Whiskers in the Wheat, which we're going to also cover with a playthrough on a separate video. So it's already set up just to show you how, a live session would look like. I'm going to go through the rules and explain the game to you now for this part of this video and focus on how the game plays. But just I want to mention that the rulebook comes with a very nice quick start. So the quick start is just before the rules, so you can just follow with the scripted text, with the quick start. The game sets you very, very easily to go through the quick start, and it's recommended if it's your first game, which actually shows you the basic mechanics of the game, teaches you the game in a very, very easy play, learn as you play format. And I really appreciate when games come with these options as well. Okay, but I'm not going to focus on the quick start because it's for those who want to purely learn it by playing the scripted section, but it's already included in the rulebook. What I want to mention is for the quick start, okay, if multiple players want to play the quick start, they're going to choose a different option from the 5 entries. They're going to, first of all, create their character, we've seen before, in any way they want. So you're going to select a portrait, you're going to select a weapon, an armor, an offense board, and a defense board, and respective tokens to give you abilities. You're going to populate it, so based on your tokens, for example, if you selected different tokens, they will give you 2 shields and 2 speed, and you're going to insert those wooden tokens on the respective slots, etc. But the quick start will guide you through those details if you want to start like that. Just want to mention that depending on if more than one players want to play the quick start, if you're playing, for example, one player, the weapon dice that they're going to have are 4, they're going to roll 4, and they're going to keep 3. But if they're playing 4 players, the quick start, the weapon dice that they're going to have, each player is 2. They're going to roll 2 and they're going to keep 1. Okay, so this changes based on the number of players to balance out the quick start for everybody. Now, having said that, okay, how you quickly set up the game for the quick play, for the quick start. Let's now focus on the main aspects of the game and the main highlights. So again, this game is set up for 4 players. That means each player is going to take 2 weapon dice, matching their weapon type. So if I have a bow, I'm going to take 2 of those, okay, with the arrows. I'm going to be rolling 2 and I'm going to be keeping 1. Also keep in mind that in solo, the player starts with 4 underdog dice as well. These are the underdog dice I mentioned before, and the player rolls 4 of the underdog dice and keeps 3 of them. So let's now focus on the actual main aspects of the game. Let's start with the map tiles. In Fairytale, the world is represented by the map, which is divided into a series of map tiles, and each map tile represents a different key location where the heroes will explore, face challenges, and fight their foes as they progress through a story. Each tile has 2 sides, which are the same numerical ID but have different letters to tell them apart. For example, the first tile can be 1A from one side, the front side, and 1B from the back side. Now let's focus quickly on the anatomy of the tiles. You can see that the map all the map tiles have connecting map points. You can see you have spots. Okay, these are called map points, where you can place your miniatures. When you connect to map tiles, you can see that they can have connecting map tiles, or you could also have cases where the map tiles do not connect at all, or you have half a circle. Okay? The tile orientation, as the setup of the story will tell you, has to always match the numerical ID number. So that means if for the 6A tile the numerical value is at the bottom, pointing this way, that means the same orientation needs to be kept for the next tiles following that. I cannot have 2A on the top and mess up with the map. So this is, as I mentioned before, is called the tile ID. All the yellow ones are called map points, and you can have map points that do not connect, or you can have map points that connect to a full circle. Map points are the yellow circles on the tile and represent the points of interest used for visual representation. The story setup will tell you in which tile to place challenges, evergems and miniatures. Which map point you choose to place these elements for a specific tile, it's for your choice. It doesn't matter for gameplay, as long as it is on the same tile as indicated by the setup or instruction. To interact with one of the above elements, a hero must be instructed to do so by the story. Multiple evergems, chests, miniatures and challenges may be represented on the same tile simultaneously, and the number may exceed the map points for that tile. That means you don't have specifically in this tile 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slots. You can have more things than that. Keep in mind that you can place them on that location, on the tile, any way you see fit. As I mentioned, the tile orientation is very important. The tiles of Fairytale are always orientated with the ID facing in the same direction. Heroes only move from tile to tile when an entry instructs them to do so, and keep that in mind. Wooden components. Wooden components represent different elements in Fairytale depending on their type and location. For example, one of those tokens, here, on a map point may represent a challenge, while one of those tokens on combat board may represent an attack. Each wooden component is represented by its corresponding symbol as shown on the image in the story. Whenever you see these symbols, they refer to that specific wooden components. For example, let's see them from top to bottom, from top to bottom and from left to right. As you can see here, this one, it's called aim and hit and has this shape. Here on the bottom, this is called craftsmanship. This one here is a pierce and cut. This one is speed. This one is a slash and smash. This is diplomacy. This is attack. This is armor. This is health. And this is power. Now, reading the wooden component symbols. When you come across a wooden component symbol, which typically has the outer shape, like the X here, but it's black, okay? Like a black sketch, that's what I mean in the story. Whenever you come across a wooden component symbol of any type, it always refers to its specific wooden component, and you will be instructed to do something with it. What you may do with those, you may need to place them on the map. You can gain them as a resource on your player board. You can use it to perform a challenge. You can use it to attack. You can use it to block. Some stories make use of these wooden components in a very interesting and unique way, and you need to keep an eye for the rules that they're going to unfold once you explore the story, respectively. The only exception is this symbol, the attack symbol, which always refers to any weapon type wooden component. Thus, when a card instructs you to gain or use this symbol, treat it as a symbol for the wooden component of your weapon type, which could be either aim and hit, pierce and cut, or slash and smash. Or any other place you come across for that symbol. Wooden components placed on the map represent challenges and can be collected. To learn more about how to gain a wooden component, you'll find out more once I explain the respective section and you understand more about the game mechanics. Player boards. Before making any of the selections, you have to communicate with your other players to decide which hero, weapon, armor and paths each will select. If this is your first play in Fairytale and you are unsure what to select, you can make the following selections randomly and change them later. To learn more information about each section, you have to understand the different rules and the different aspects associated with them in each step. So, first, set up your player board accordingly. The first thing you do is you select your preferred hero. In this case, I have selected this hero you see here. I'm taking the player board and placing it in front of me. There are different heroes with different talents that you can find at the end of the rulebook. You select your weapon type. You take the weapon player board, part of the chosen type, and connect it to the right side of your hero player board. And then at the end of the rulebook, you can find different weapon types. In this case, I have taken this board, okay, and I have connected it to the right side. You can always upgrade your weapons, and you have different specific shapes matching the specific type of weapon, so you can upgrade by putting their respective tokens in that slot. But still, this is a specific type of weapon, throwing arrows. Okay, it could be either with a more basic version or a more advanced version, but still it's the same type of weapon as compared to, let's say, another weapon which can be, let me show you, using other type of shapes and also a different type of dice. More on that later. Then you select the armor type on the left. Okay, so this board here. You take the armor player board, part of the chosen type, and connect it to the left side of your player hero board. And at the end of the rulebook, you can find different armor types. Again, it comes with a pre-printed at the bottom armor type. In this case, I have, let's say, upgraded it with one more of that type, but on a higher level. Again, different types of mushrooms that they don't fit necessarily to all the spots have different types of armors. And you can find out more about that at the end of the rulebook. Then you select your defense path. You take the defense player board, okay, and this is the section here below your armor. You select your defense path, okay, you take your board, you place it here, and you select your defense path by connecting the board and placing a tile next to it. Okay, so this, in this case, could be one of those defense boards, or you could have another shape which has another matching token. Okay, and you have different types of those tokens which give you different abilities for your defense path and for your offensive path as well. So as you guessed right, you will do the same for the right section, at the bottom right section of your player board, where you put your offensive path. Now going back to the defensive path, what you need to do is here you need to put in your slots. First of all, on all of your slots you need to populate it with first of all health. So I'm going to put all the slots, I'm going to place in all the slots health tokens. I'm going to populate on the top all the craftsmanship slots with craftsmanship tokens, and I'm going to populate on the right of my main portrait all my diplomacy slots with diplomacy tokens. Next, I'm going to take an amount of attack matching, of course, my indicated printed token on the armor board. Okay, so on the weapon board. So here, as you can see, I have the upgrade version which shows 2 arrows. So I'm going to take 2 arrows, okay, and place them here. But if I have selected another type of board and my weapon was, for example, this one here, I would take, in this case, 2 swords and place them on the respective slot. Okay, depends on your customization of your hero. So it could be either swords, either daggers, or arrows. The indicated amount that you need to place is on the top of the 2 statistics here. Likewise, you'll find that there is an amount of energy, or power, sorry, with the thunder shape, that is printed on the token, and you need to place them on the offensive board part here. So it says 2 here, so that means I'm going to populate it with 2. Likewise, I'm going to do the same with my armor on the left side. My armor indicates 2 armor tokens. I'm going to place 2 wooden armor tokens here, and I'm going to take a number of speed tokens, says 2, so I'm going to place 2 speed tokens here. You place a hero basket, which is really cool, you have to admit, in the center of your hero board, and then you're ready to use your hero. Now you have completed the setup of your player board, and you can find out more about what to select, or even change it if it's your first game. But this is let's say a customization of your hero. Now, focusing on the details on the player board, let's see them in detail. Here, as you can see, we have heart wooden tokens, health wooden tokens. These are spaces to have health wooden tokens. Here on the top you have space for craftsmanship tokens. Here we have space for diplomacy tokens. Here we have weapon tokens. And this is the weapon player board. Here we have armor tokens, and this is the armor player board. Below the armor player board you have this board which is called the defense player board. It has a space for the defense path ability, which is called this token here. Okay, and here indicates the speed, spaces for speed tokens. And on the right, below your weapon board, you have the offensive player board, and the space for the offensive path ability, which is this apple, is slotted in here, and also spaces for the power. Remember that every hero can use all types of weapons, armor, and path abilities, and you can even customize your hero and change your selection during play. Armor tokens. You can see that we have leather armor tokens, chain armor tokens, and plate armor tokens. And we have the different armor types, which also have different capacity and maximum limits. In Fairytale, these are the three types of armor tokens that you have, each represented by a different mushroom shape, and each armor token is accompanied by its own distinct armor player board part where it fits in. Each armor type has a different capacity for armor and speed, as you can see. Okay? These are the two numbers that indicate the highest amount of armor, in this case 3, and speed, in this case 1, a hero can have on the player board. Even if a hero plays an action card that allows them to gain more wooden tokens of armor or speed, they only gain enough to reach their token's capacity. Additionally, the board parts have different maximum limits on the amount of armor they can store. The highest capacity for leather armor is 4, and for 4 armor and 4 speed. For chain armor is 5 armor and 4 speed, and for plate armor is 6 armor tokens and 3 speed. Okay, but you can see this is just a way to show you how you can customize your hero only from the armor point of view. Weapon tokens. You have different type of weapon tokens, and you can see, for example, here you have the pierce and cut token, you have the slash and smash token, and you have the aim and hit token. Here on the numbers again you can see the capacity, attack capacity at the top, and the power capacity at the bottom, like with all of these tokens. And you can also see the maximum attack unit and the weapon player board part here. And the maximum amount is the slots you can have. Now, weapon types, capacity, and maximum limits. In Fairytale, again, there are 3 types of weapon tokens, each represented by a different leaf shape. Each weapon token is accompanied by its own distinct player board, as you can see, part where it fits in, and each weapon type has a different capacity for attack and power, where 2 numbers indicate the highest amount of attack and power a hero can have on the player board. Even if a hero plays an action card that allows them to gain more attack or power, they only gain enough to reach their token's capacity, and you can find out more about how you play those cards later on when I'm going to explain it. But keep in mind that for the weapon type conversion, enemies based on their enemy cards may be easier to hit with certain weapon types, like for example this type, that type, or that type. Okay? But it does not mean that they are immune to other types. Players may always convert 2 wooden components and or weapon dice of their corresponding weapon type into one weapon type as many times as they wish during the encounter phase. For example, a hero with a slash and smash weapon, they can remove 2 of those wooden tokens, okay, to convert them to one of those on the enemy combat and complete an attack set needed. The highest capacity for slash and smash and aim and hit is 5 power and 4 attack and 4 power. For pierce and cut is 5 attack and 3 power, but pierce and cut makes up for with more versatile weapon dice. So these are all the different options for the weapon tokens. Path tokens. Path tokens represent the masteries your hero has trained in. Any hero can obtain any path token if it is available. At the start of the game, all path tokens are available as long as they have not been selected by another player. During play, unselected path tokens are considered unavailable and can't be chosen, but they can be unlocked by consulting the upgrade choices section of the story you're playing. Players can exchange path tokens they have access to at their discretion. In Fairytale, there are 4 different paths for heroes to choose from, 2 focused on offense and 2 focused on defense. Each of these paths features multiple different tokens and different abilities. So let's focus, for example, on those 2 left ones, that they are defensive player boards. So you have the path of endurance. Okay, so this is, and you can see that you have different names, for example, at the back for those path tokens. Okay, so you have the path board, which slots on your player board to assemble it in its full let's say final look, and then you have the space for the token, so these tokens fit in there depending on the ones you select. Okay, and they give you the specific direction, and the same goes for the offense. So you have the path of war and the path of duel, for example. This is a path of duel. Okay, and this is the path of war. And these are 2 offensive paths and these are 2 defensive paths. So let's say a word about the different paths. Each hero selects 2 path tokens, one tied to their offense player board and another to their defense player board. As you can see from the image in front of you here, each path token has its own unique part that has different maximum limit for power and speed, as you can see. And the path of endurance is best suited for a tank or guardian role, designed to absorb damage for the team. The path of avoidance focuses on dodging attacks and negating effects. The path of war specializes in battlefield control and spreading damage across multiple units. And the path of duel focuses and excels at dealing heavy damage to a single target. So, activating path tokens. To activate an offense path token, a hero removes one of the power tokens from here, places it on top of the path token to indicate it's been used for the turn, and once the encounter phase ends, the hero removes the wooden component from their player board out. To activate a defensive path token, a hero respectively uses these speed tokens and removes one of those, places it on top of the path token to indicate that it's marked and used for the turn, and once the encounter phase ends, the hero removes this wooden component from their player board. Remember to use your path abilities frequently as possible, because they offer truly powerful effects and they can be a matter of win or lose if you time them correctly. Weapon dice. Each of the 3 weapon types has its own set of 4 weapon dice. Players take their set of weapon dice at the start of the game according to their weapon type and player count and place them near the player board. If during play players change weapon type, they must also change their weapon dice. You can find in the rulebook the different symbols found on the weapon dice and how they are used in combat and challenges, and you can find out more about the combat later on. I'm going to explain it, and also in the rulebook. But for the moment, keep in mind that depending on the player count and the weapon dice at the start of the game, heroes take weapon dice according to their player count. In the encounter phase, they roll them and keep a number of weapon dice as indicated on in the rulebook. So for example, let's say we have a player count of 4. That means the weapon dice each player will have matching their weapon type. For example, for me, it's going to be this type, is 2 in a 4-player game. I'm going to roll 2 in combat or in challenges, and I'm going to keep 1. In the encounter phase, I will roll 2, and I'm going to keep 1, and this is listed. This is linked specifically with the 4-player count selection. If you're playing a solo, 2-player, or 3-player, you can work in the rulebook to find out the respective number of dice that you have. You only need to worry about that in the start of the game, and you need to know how many you roll, how many you have, how many you roll, and how many you keep. Now let's focus again on the different type of dice. We have all of them. They have the green color, okay, which means a success in challenges. The primary color is either yellow for aim and hit weapon dice, blue for slash and smash weapon dice, and purple for pierce and cut weapon dice. The green side, which is present in all of them, means successful challenge. The non-green side on a given die means unsuccessful challenge. Okay, but the color, whether it's green or the other color, it's only for the challenges. In the combat, you only focus on the icons. Now, let's see the icons. For example, we have this icon here, which is the slash and smash, may be used as a slash and smash a wooden component when attacking. You also have this icon, which is the aim and hit, which may be used, this result, as a wooden component when attacking of this type. You also have the dagger, which is the pierce and cut, and may be used as a pierce and cut wooden component when attacking. You also have hybrid pierce and cut, which shows the dagger and the armor icon. Let me find one of those, which is this one here. And this is a hybrid pierce and cut, may be used as pierce and cut wooden component when attacking, or as an armor wooden component when blocking. You also have the icon of the armor, may be used as an armor wooden component when blocking. You also have the speed, which may be used to activate the defensive path ability or as a speed wooden component when blocking. You also have the power, which is this one, and may be used to activate the attack path ability or as a wooden component of the matching icon when attacking or blocking. And then you have the wild one, which is this symbol, the wild card, and may be used as any wooden component to attack, block, or activate path abilities. It's used for attack. If it is used for attack, it has the same attack type as the weapon die. Now, a word about challenges, success, and failure. In addition to the symbols, as you can see, each weapon die has 3 green sides and 3 sides matching the color of the weapon type. Although this does not impact combat or the symbols on the dice, it affects challenges. So each green side represents a success in a challenge roll, while each non-green side represents a failure. At the start of each game, you can set aside 3 unused weapon dice of any type and use them for rolling success and failures in challenges. So these are all you need to know about the weapon dice. Maybe another hint to just give you is that the slash and smash weapon die, this one, is weighted for defense. The aim and hit weapon die is weighted for attack, and the pierce and cut weapon die is weighted for a more versatile attack because it also has the hybrid, as I have showed you before. So this is everything you need to know for weapon dice. Now, what about action cards? As you remember, each character has their own specific deck of cards. The talents. If an action card contains a talent icon, the effect of that talent icon is the last part of the action card to be resolved. Okay, we'll come back to that later, but let me first go through the anatomy of the action cards. Action cards are the main way of the hero to gain wooden components, attack an enemy, and perform challenges. Cards come into 4 rarities: basic with no badge, bronze with the bronze badge, as you can see, silver with a silver badge, and then gold with the gold badge. Their absence of any badge indicates that these are the starting cards. So out of the whole deck of a hero, the ones with no badge at all at the top are the starting deck of the cards. The rest can be upgrades that the hero can have in the course of the game. Now, let's see the anatomy. As we've said, just to show you here, the anatomy has the badge, which we discussed now. It has two logs, the hoarding log, if you play the card for gaining wooden components, or the action log on the right side if you play the card for the action components. So let's talk about the starting deck and hand. Each hero must always contain have a deck that contains 10 action cards. You take the 10 basic hero cards, the ones with no badge that I showed you before, shuffle them and place them face down near your player board. This is going to be your hero deck, and from there you will be drawing cards. At the start of the game, heroes draw their starting hand based on the number of heroes in play. So with 4 heroes, 3 action cards, with 3 heroes, 4 action cards, with 2 heroes, 5 action cards, and with 1 hero, if you're playing solo, 6 action cards. Although you start the game with only a few action cards as a starting hand, there is no limit on how many action cards you can hold in your hand during the game. It's just for balancing the start of the game, depending on the player count. Now, playing action cards. So each hero can only play a single action card during their turn. They can use this card, and let's say I have this card, for example, okay, and they can use their card either to gain wooden components from the hoarding log, which is on the left, or to play wooden components and talents from the action log, which is on the right. Okay? To gain wooden components from the hoarding log on the left, you take the wooden components from the general supply and place them on the respective space on your player board. This would be in this case, for example, 2 attack tokens matching your weapon type and 3 diplomacy tokens. Okay? So you gain those wooden components. If you play the card for the action log on the right, then you will take the action, you will take the wooden components from your player board, so 1 weapon, 1 attack token, 3 power tokens, and 1 craftsmanship. So in this case I will take them from my own player board and place them where the action tells you to. It is placed, if it is played on combat, it's used to make attacks, or you can return them to the supply if you're used on a challenge. So you're going to use them for sets of attacks if you're playing them as part of combat, or if you're doing a challenge, you're going to return them to the supply, respectively. So after playing an action card and resolving its effect, either to activate the hoarding log or the action log, you discard the action card by placing it face up on the pile near your hero deck. This pile is your discard pile. If you choose not to play an action card during your turn, you may draw an action card from the top of your hero deck, and if your hero deck is empty and you would need to draw 1 or more action cards, you reshuffle all your action cards from your discard pile into your hero deck and then draw your action card. Okay? So, very simple anatomy: badge, hoarding log to gain the tokens, or action log to play the tokens, whether it's in combat for making sets for attacks, or whether it's in challenge to resolve challenges successfully. Okay, so this is the anatomy. As I mentioned before, we have talents. If an action card contains a talent icon, so let me show you one of those, like this one here. Okay. So if a card contains a talent icon, the effects of that talent is the last part of the action card to be resolved. Talents do not limit the number of action cards a hero can play or draw and exceed the usual turn limits. Their only restriction is that the same type of talent cannot be repeated in the same encounter phase from multiple action cards. So for example, let me just find one to show you. Let's see. Let's say we have this one here. Okay. Yep. So if, for example, let's take it from Hector's deck. There you go. It's this one with the 1. Yep. Okay, there you go. It shows 1 and shows this talent here. So if Hector is playing this action card with this talent, he can only play 1 extra action card. Even if that additional action card also has the same symbol, he may not play another. So when resolving a talent, the player who used it can select a hero or heroes that will benefit from the effect and distribute the benefits however they wish, not only for themselves. For example, Eliana can use a talent to draw 3 cards, then she may choose a scene on the pack to draw 1 card, then Hector the Gecko to draw 2 cards, and she can draw 0 cards for herself, okay, as she best sees fit. All talents are preceded by the numerical value from 1 to 3, so it says 1, 2, or 3, as you can see before the icon. 1 being the weakest and 3 being the strongest, and each hero talent functions as follows. So let's see first of all Hector the Gecko. He has this icon which shows a number and then shows the talent with the arrow pointing downwards. That means that any heroes may immediately play up to X being 3, 2, or 1 before the symbol. Additional action cards, splitting the number of action cards played between them. Another talent is the Xenon the Pugs, which has the talent with the arrow pointing up. That means that you return any number of X means 1, 2, or 3 again, depending on the number, action cards from the discard pile to the respective player hands. Then you have Eliana, who has the talent with an arrow pointing upwards vertically. That means that you draw up to X action cards from the top of any hero deck and add them to the respective player hands. So in this case 1, so you can either be here or another player to draw 1 additional card. And last but not least, we have Christian the Hamster, which has this icon with the recycled arrows, something like that. It says reveal up to X, X means 2 in this case, 1, 2, 3 again, could be. Action cards from the top of the hero deck, then the hero to whom the action cards belong to may immediately play 1. Okay, so not only draw but also play. So as you can see, these talents are very different from between the different heroes, and they give a very nice different, I don't know, I should say, flexibility for players to draw cards, play cards, or have more options during their action phase. A word about upgrading cards. Remember, when we start the game, as I mentioned, we start with the basic cards. That means that we have no badges. So we only have the ones with no badges. So the 10 cards with no badges will be our starting hand, and the ones with the bronze, silver, or gold ones, it could be options for us to upgrade, but we don't have them in our possession in the beginning. We only have the non-badged ones. So when playing a campaign, you begin with the 10 basic ones here in your hero deck, and when instructed to upgrade an action card, you follow the specific steps. You remove first the basic action card and replace it with a bronze action card. Once you have 3 bronze action cards in your hero deck, then you may upgrade 1 bronze action card to a silver action card. And third, when you have your deck containing all 3 bronze action cards and both silver action cards, you may upgrade 1 silver action card to a gold action card. So therefore, there are a total of 8 steps to fully upgrade your hero deck. Okay, and this is going to be part of your interesting and challenging campaign. Enemy cards. Each enemy in Fairytale has its own enemy deck, consisting of up to 7 enemy cards. You can tell these enemy cards apart from their illustration and IDs. For example, when called to find specific units, like the fox, for example, you see that they have a specific ID at the bottom, which is an F, and depending on the number, it could be F1, F2, F3, and so on. Okay, so a unique number indicates the enemy deck, and a unique letter, sorry, and the number indicates the specific card of this type of enemy from its own respective deck. So keep in mind that enemies' attacks and abilities during combat are represented on the card itself, and as well as the stance the enemies take, leaving specific opening to be explored from the players and attacked through a specific set collection. Enemies in Fairytale can also have multiple units working together, represented by the same enemy card, and the number of units for a single enemy card represented is always indicated by the story. So things to focus in, for example, is as you can see here, you have the unit health. That means that the number of heart symbols that must be placed on a single health slot on a combat board. We'll see the combat board in a sec. For each unit, place the same number of heart tokens on a different health slot, and a unit may not gain more health than the maximum it's written on its enemy card, in this case 2 for example, except if a story rule explicitly instructs to do so. The number of enemy units in an encounter is always detailed in the storybook. For example, in the Badger Combats board, you can find that a set of stack of 3 hearts, which represent 3 units, each with 3 heart tokens. If a single unit has too much heart tokens to fit in one stack, you split it into smaller stacks and just place them directly below the first one so that it makes more sense. But you know that they belong to the same slot essentially. Another thing that you can find here on the left is the damage of attack. The damage that they will be inflicted to a hero from an attack of that enemy if not blocked. There is also the ability text box which describes the effect of the ability, the unique ID number that you see here. Each enemy card has a unique ID, and all cards of the same enemy type share the same letter, while the numbers indicate the enemy card's rarity. 1, 2 and 3 are always basic, 4 and 5 are always bronze, 6 is always silver, and 7 is always gold. During a story you will be asked to shuffle cards according to their ID to form the enemy decks respectively. Okay, the illustration here. Now if it is, for example, this is a gold badge BG7 ID card, you can see that it has a badge here. The illustration is the same. You have the unit health, you have the damage attack, you have the ability text, okay, and then you have the numbers on hero blocking side, and here is the numbers from the hero attacking side. So the numbers on the left is the attacking side for the heroes, and the number on the right is the numbers for heroes blocking side. We'll explain this how combat works in a sec. But keep in mind that ability timing is also an aspect that we need to be careful for the enemies. Indicates an enemy's ability and when it activates. For example, if it says on hit or if it says on round start. Okay, so if it says on round start, abilities activate during the start of the encounter phase. If it says on hit, that means it activates when the hero is inflicted damage from the attack. It could also say on miss, which means the ability is activated when the hero successfully blocks the attack. Okay, and if there are untyped abilities, they are activated immediately when the enemy card is revealed and cannot be interrupted or negated by hero actions or other negate effects. Combat boards. Let's see the anatomy of the combat board. We have here the attack set on the left. We have the defense set on the right. We have hero blocking side. And we have hero attacking side. Okay, the card is slotted, as you can see, in here. And then the numbers are highlighted in their respective recessed holes, slots. So when you're setting up the combat board, you set up the enemy combat board, you take the enemy deck, shuffle it and sleeve it face up on the combat board. Be sure that each symbol on the combat board aligns with the number of cards, and then you place the indicated amount of heart tokens in each empty healthy slot up to the number of units described in the story. Okay, here. Also, each slot is going to have a specific amount of heart tokens as indicated here, and these will be different units. Also, keep in mind that unique enemies like the fox and the beaver will always have one unit on a single combat board. We have the hero's attacking side, where all players can place wooden components to match the requirement on the same enemy card using their weapon dice or playing action cards to form an attacking set. An attack set is the combination of number of wooden components listed on the left side of the enemy card. So this is a set, those three. Okay. Heroes can complete multiple attack sets in the same encounter phase. For each attack set, the enemy is creating 1 damage, meaning 1 health is removed from one of their units. The players choose which unit to attack and damage, and when completing attack sets, keep in mind that the weapon type conversion rule, okay, that you can make 2 of one kind to another kind, okay. So if you're missing an arrow, you can make 2 daggers for an arrow, for example, okay, or any other combination. A hero is considered an attacker when placing even a single wooden component from the attack side on the left, and additionally, a hero can activate their own hit abilities if they have at least 1 wooden component on the attack set and damage is inflicted to at least 1 unit. The hero's blocking side. When the enemy attacks, heroes must block. Each unit presented in combat performs 1 attack and target a hero. Which hero is the target of the attack is determined by the players. On the hero's blocking side, players place wooden components to match the requirements of the enemy card using their weapon dice, or just placing them directly from the player boards to form a defense set. No card action is needed for this, and a defense set is the combination of wooden components listed on the right side of the enemy card here. In this case, those 2 make a set, defense set. For each complete defense set, a hero blocks an attack made by 1 unit. If multiple units are presented in a combat board, then the hero must place additional defense sets to match the number of units. Otherwise, they are hit and damaged by the additional attacks. A hero considered to be a blocker when placing even a single wooden component on the block set. Additionally, a hero can activate their when damaged abilities after they are inflicted with damage due to the unsuccessful block, or if an enemy ability damages them directly. Multiple units make multiple attacks. It is always wise to focus your damage on a single unit to take it out of combat. Selecting a game mode. Fairytale can be played in 3 distinct game modes: Fairytale Campaign, Story Chapter, or Story Twister. First, Fairytale Campaign. The Fairytale Campaign consists of 10 interconnected stories. Starting from Story 1, Once Upon a Time, the heroes progress through the campaign following the instructions provided in the storybook. They then can progress to the next story by reaching the epilogue of their story. At the start of the Fairytale Campaign, heroes have no weapons, path abilities, or armor, and begin with only their basic action cards in the hero deck. They will gain these upgrades as rewards for completing stories and quests. Throughout the campaign, heroes will retain the following upgrades from story to story: weapon and armors, path abilities, action card upgrades, and ever gems. These upgrades make the hero stronger as they advance through later stories. At the end of each story, players reset their player boards, setting their health, craftsmanship, diplomacy, weapon power, armor power, and speed to their capacity. They shuffle their hand and discard pile into their hero deck, and they draw a new starting hand to prepare for the next adventure. The second way to play the game is a story chapter. When playing a story chapter, you select a single story from the storybook. You begin the upgrades as described in the If Played with a Story Chapter mode. You continue reading and playing the story until you either lose or reach the epilogue. And when you reach the epilogue, you have completed the story. You then may choose to play another story or repeat the same story, but any rewards gained do not carry over. The campaign overview map I showed you before, that it's also the magnetic lead that wraps around the log, which is the insert of the game, has also a track of your current campaign, dividing it into the 10 different interconnected stories and where their area is focused. Now, the story twist mode, it's going to be revealed in the stretch goals, so there's not more to say here. We're going to wait to find out more about that. But let's focus on how we read a story in a game. So let me briefly show you. This is going to make more sense once you start playing the game, but just to give you a bit of insight. Sorry, this is black and white, but I just I didn't have the color printer with me here, so I just printed on black and white. So this is the Whiskers and Whiskers in the Wheat story. Okay, as you can see, it has, this is the first page. So the first page has a specific story overview that you read here and find out more about the story. A summary of the introduction with simple game terms, and provides players with clear directions on how they can start the story. Then if you move forward, you'll find the story map setup, which is indicated here. I know it may look a bit busy, but you know, on the color version of the scenario book, you can find more details on how to set up exactly the map as indicated from the story map section. An image displaying how the story map should be set up, including legend, details, miniatures, challenges, and other points of interest. Okay. Then we have hints. This is something interesting here. This is a hint that it can give you a bit of I don't know, advice on how to go or navigate through this story. It's optional again, but it's always recommended to read it. Then if you proceed, you go to the introduction. The introduction is on the second typically page of a story. It has nice text here, so you can find the introduction with the details. It has a lore entry that sets the tone of the story, introducing important chapters and provides hints about why the heroes are there and what they're trying to accomplish. If there's any text in bold at the end of the introduction, it's represented as a rule, and you follow it for continuing. For example, in this case, it says gain a yellow evergem. Also, if playing a story chapter section is there, that means if you don't play the campaign and you play the story chapter, then it's just a hint box how to upgrade your heroes so that you can navigate the respective story accordingly. Okay, so you don't start with nothing, and it's balanced. Then we have the Evergem entries. The Evergem entries are different entries which indicate, like this one, what happens when you roll in the story die the blue Evergem. Okay, what happens when you roll in the story die the yellow Evergem, or what happens when you roll the red Evergem. Again, this is a story die, just to remind you. Okay, and this is a vital part of I don't know, the core mechanics of the game, which drives the story itself. Then there are 3 entries. They're presented by a letter and the evergreen type. They are tied to potential events and may occur during the story based on the rolls of the story die, and always you read this immediately when they happen, and they have a priority over the general entries. Then, and not to make any spoiler, we proceed with the entries, but you can see number 2, number 3, the story directs you, 4, 6, 7, 9, okay? Again, sorry, this is not color coded, but it looks much nicer when it's coded, printed on color on the actual, you see, and there is the epilogue. So the entries is a list of entries tied to the story, and the story and event always progress through these entries, and players must navigate these entries to reach the epilogue. You do not read any entries unless you're instructed to do, or another entry event tells you to do so, and when the entry instructs you to move to a tile, you place all hero miniatures on that tile. Entries will feature options that heroes select to progress through the story. Multiple options are separated numerically, while some options might have sub-options which are separated by dots. If divided further, they're noted with lowercase numbers. There are also treasure chests that you can find, and those treasure chests have, in order to make them, those treasure chests, you take 3 treasure chests, you place 1 Evergem, 2 Evergems and 3 Evergems on each of those. You shuffle those and you randomly place the number of treasure chests as indicated in the story. Then you have the epilogues at the end. Okay, these are the epilogues, depending on how you progressed on the story. Sorry, I'm not showing you more because I don't want to make any spoiler. You can see I'm going to have another video with a playthrough of this story specifically. It signals the end of the story. It always reads an epilogue as a result of another entry, so you don't go to read it on your own. And an epilogue must instruct players to either continue to the next story in the campaign and progress, or replay the same story if a lost condition has been met. Last but not least, we have the enemy statistics at the end. In this case we have Bucktooth the beaver, we have mini mischief makers, the rats, and we have Naya the fox, as you can see. Okay, and they provide the encounter name, the miniature used, the enemy unit, and the enemy deck. You see, you make up the enemy deck of the beaver by using B1 card, B2, and B3, and that's one unit. Okay, while the mini mischief makers, the rats, are 5 units, and you have the cards R1, R2, and R3 to make up for their enemy deck. Okay, some units have a single, some miniatures have a single unit, some others have more than one unit with different stacks of heart tokens, as you have seen. Last but not least, we have the upgrade options at the bottom. A list of upgrades that the player may select during the exploration phase if they have the Evergems required. So for example, in this case, one evergreen of any color, you gain 1 available path token, and you may change your path token in the course of the game. Or in addition, 1 evergem of any color, you upgrade or change your weapon or armor to 1 available token listed below. And these are the options for this specific scenario. Okay, so you need to focus on those. But you need to spend an evergem of any color in order to upgrade them and get, let's say, more powerful weapons or more powerful armor tokens, but from those selected. Okay, so as I mentioned, this is how you read the specific story. I'm not going to say more because it's part of playing actually the game, but you get an idea of how you read the stories. Now, game phases. In all game modes, Fairytale is played in 2 distinct phases. You have first the exploration phase, and in this phase players will read entries which will instruct them to roll the story die, resolve events, and choose an entry option, and they will lead them from the one entry to the next entry. The exploration phase continues until all entry and specific entry instructs the players to begin a challenge or begin combat. In this phase, players can also choose to upgrade their equipment. So exploration phase is the one of the 2 phases. The second phase is the encounter phase, and when instructed to begin a combat or perform a challenge, all heroes enter the encounter phase. In this encounter phase, there are specific 10 steps. They may seem a lot, but it's very straightforward once you've done it once. First is enemy activates their round start ability, if any. Then players roll weapon dice. Then players may play or draw an action card. Players resolve attacks or challenges. Players block enemy attacks. Enemies resolve on hit and on miss abilities. Then players reset the enemy combat boards. Players roll the story die and resolve events. And then players remove speed or power from their path tokens, if any, and then the combat or challenge ends and you read the entry options. During the exploration phase, players may perform a challenge and participate in combat at the same time. Remember to consult the player rate when you are in the exploration phase or the encounter phase. And the round phases, again, all the steps are listed in the play rate. You have, again, exploration phase. You may perform an upgrade, read the current entry story, roll the story die if requested, choose an option, resolve the event, and read the next entry. Encounter phase. If you enter in the encounter phase, resolve round start ability, roll weapon die, play draw an action card, resolve attack or challenge, block enemy attacks, resolve any on hit or on miss abilities, reset enemy combat boards, roll the story die, and resolve events. Then combat ends and you read the entry options. At any time, a player may activate an unused ability once per round. Now, a couple of words for each of the phases. Exploration phase. So, when you perform the upgrades, at any time during the exploration phase, if 1 or more players have the Evergems required, they may perform an upgrade as described in the page that I've shown you before in the story. In terms of reading entries, to play through a story, players read entries. Entries in Fairytale contain lore and rules, and lore texts always are in italics and give context to that specific entry. Rules are always in bold and will instruct you to move miniature and interact with game components, and options are in bold and they are selected if they will move the heroes through the stories respectively. Most entries will instruct you to roll the story die. Rolling the story die and resolving events. Events in Fairytale are a driven force behind the main narrative, influencing non-player characters and environmental factors based on the roll of the story die. These events are represented by Evergem symbols and the letter. Always take priority over entries. Each event is linked to a specific Evergem color corresponding to the 6 sides of the story die. When rolling the story die, find the entry matching the rolled Evergem color in the storybook, then perform the action described, which often involves moving a miniature, adding or removing Evergems from the map, or progressing the story in another way. If a certain event has already been concluded, or if you are in the combat with the encounter it refers to, the event may instruct you to ignore the event or change the event's outcome. Ignore the event means that you don't place any more Evergems, you don't move any miniatures, and you don't read any entries. Likewise, if the event is tied to an encounter that has already been defeated, it will produce no outcome. 3 of the 6 die faces represent a blue Evergem. Oops, the fox will never stand for it. So 3 of the 6 dice faces are blue, and then 2 out of them are yellow, and only 1 out of them is red, which makes it even more rare. So some events are more rare than others, respectively. Okay, so this is how the exploration phase goes. Now let's see the encounter phase. The encounter phase. These abilities activate at the start of the encounter phase and before the heroes get a chance to play their round. They typically cause the enemy to gain health, remove valuable wooden tokens and components, or discard action cards from the hero's hand. For example, this beaver has a non-hit, but it could have a round start ability, like this one here, which says a hero removes 1 power before anything else will happen. So you need to be careful for those. Okay. Now the encounter phase. Rolling the weapon dice. Players roll their weapon, the number of weapon dice according to the player count that we've seen before, as described at the beginning. Players can keep these dice to supplement wooden components for attacking, blocking, or activating path abilities at the appropriate times during their turn. You simply exchange your weapon die for a wooden component of the same type and place it on the appropriate location on the enemy combat board to make sets, obviously. Alternatively, you can use the speed or power symbols of your weapon die to activate your path tokens, just as you had used these wooden components from your player board. Then you place the weapon die on top of your path token to remind you that you activate your path ability, and you can't use the same path ability in the same encounter phase. You can assign these weapon dice for an attack even without playing an action card, or even if the action card you play during your turn does not require you to use these components. Okay, so essentially you're trying to make sets for attacking and creating damage so that you can tear your opponent down and win the battle against them. Playing and drawing action cards. During the encounter phase, heroes have the choice to play or draw action cards as described before. If the action card contains a talent, the effect of the talent is resolved last. Remember that all heroes can roll weapon dice together. Heroes attack. After playing an action card, players can allocate wooden components to complete attack sets and attack respectively, as we've seen before. Additionally, anytime during your encounter phase, they may keep and allocate their weapon dice to attack. So to do so, they exchange these dice for their respective wooden components and place them on their respective locations on the hero's attacking side of the combat board. Placing even a single wooden component or weapon die in the attack counts as the hero attacking, and it damages the enemy or not, it doesn't matter. Still, it's considered that the hero is attacking. Any hero may attack any number of enemies and units if present by placing multiple wooden components or weapon dice in different attack sets. Okay, so essentially what you're trying to do, depending on the scenario, you're trying to get sets to create attacks that create damage, that they will reduce the health of the enemy, and if you manage to reduce all the health of the enemy, you're going to remove them from play. Heroes block. Players must allocate wooden components or weapon dice to complete defense sets from the right side of the enemy in order to block their attacks. Only placing wooden component on a weapon die in the complete defense set counts as hero blocking. Any hero may block multiple attacks from units by placing multiple wooden components or wooden dice in different defense sets. To block with a weapon dice, you exchange it for the respective wooden components and you place in the respective location on the hero's blocking side of the board. Keep in mind that when combat There are also enemy activates on hit and on miss abilities. After heroes block, enemies activate their own hit or on miss abilities as if they are listed on their enemy card. These abilities may affect the hero targeted by the attack, except when they specify another hero. And when multiple units on the unit on hit and on miss abilities attack, these abilities will be activated, one for each unit during the same encounter phase, and multiple heroes can be affected this way from the targets of these attacks. Now, resetting enemy boards. Once all attacks, blocks and abilities have been resolved and damage has been inflicted, the players can reset their enemy combat boards. To reset enemy combat boards, remove all wooden components from the hero's attacking side on the left. Okay. And you do the same from the blocking side if you have any blocking. Be careful not to remove any health that you have at the bottom, so you only remove sets that you attacked or sets that you blocked, but not the health unless you did damage earlier. You renew the enemy card by removing the top enemy card, revealing the one beneath it. The new enemy card becomes the active enemy card for the round. Once this phase ends, you return to the exploration phase and continue your story. The last thing that you do is you roll for story die and resolve events, and after each round of combat or after successful or failing a challenge, time passes. To represent these, players must roll the story die as instructed. Last but not least, when combat and challenges end, combat ends in two ways: when all enemies are defeated or when all heroes are reduced to 0 health. When the enemies are defeated, return to the exploration phase and continue reading the current story. When all heroes are defeated, you will be directed to read the epilogue. Challenge end in 3 ways: when successfully completed, when failed, or when heroes choose to abandon them. Abandoning a challenge is considered a failure, and when challenge ends, return to the exploration phase and continue reading from your current story. A last word about challenges. Now, challenges indicated on the map by either craftsmanship, diplomacy, attack tokens or power tokens, representing difficulties that heroes must overcome with skill rather than with direct combat. You can see, for example, where is it? Here. That's a challenge with craftsmanship, as you can see, because you see a wooden component on the map tile. To perform a challenge, heroes must be instructed to do so by the story. All challenges consisted of 2 parts: the type of challenge and its difficulty. So craftsmanship challenge with a difficulty of 3 will be written as craftsmanship 3. Challenge with craftsmanship being a type of 3 as the highest difficult. In order for the heroes to perform a challenge, they must play an action card that allows them to play the wooden components of the same type of the challenge from the action card. Remember when we have the left log, which is for picking up components, and the right side from playing them. So we need to have them to play them from the right side of our action cards. So once they do, they roll a number of weapon die as indicated by the number next to the wooden component icon on the action card. For each green side roll, they count as a success and remove a wooden component from the challenge and the player board respectively. No matter how many players there are, there will always be at least 3 unused weapon die, and you can use those for rolling for challenges. You don't mix them with the actual weapon dice. Okay, so keep in mind that to succeed, you will roll that number of dice equal to the number next to your action card that you're playing, and for every green result, you will have a success, which means you will be able to remove a wooden token from the board, from the challenge and the player board. So you have also Evergem challenges. Some challenges may call for craftsmanship blue challenge, blue Evergem challenge, which means that they are difficult on the challenges equal to the number of gems related to that event. The same is true for all Evergem colors as well as all types and checks. For example, an enemy might have 3 red Evergem challenge. When you meet the enemy, you are instructed to perform a diplomacy red Evergem challenge. You place 3 diplomacy next to that enemy and then perform that challenge. You must make 3 successes in order to succeed the challenge, respectively. So that's what you need to know about challenges. Just a quick word to tell you that there is a solo mode also. I'm not going to go into detail, it's very straightforward. To play Fairytale solo, you use the exact same rules for the entire game and read through the same stories. The only difference from the multiplayer game is that hero starting hand and the number of weapon dice and the underdog dice that you have. Remember, these are the underdog dice that you use for when playing solo in addition. So you can find more details on the rulebook on how to play solo, and now you need, as you can see, you know everything you need to know on how to play Fairytale. So join me back up for my final impressions from the game and how it plays. So there you have it. This is Fairytale. It's a fairy tale in all aspects. In the way it looks, it's like a fairy tale. It's magic. It's absolutely stunning. I really enjoy just seeing the game on my table. And don't get me wrong, this is not, one can be, you know, nasty and say this is a game about looks and just, you know, focusing on how beautiful the game looks and what about gameplay. Obviously, my impressions is from just the first story that they allowed me to play as a demo, which I really enjoyed. And there's a separate video, you can find out more about how the game plays in practice. But I really enjoyed the balance of exploring, storytelling, narrative, decisions, and also nice interesting combat with you know, optimizing the sets that you need to do, with optimizing how you play your cards, with upgrading your cards, with your character customization. So this is a game that offers interesting ideas without bombarding you with rules, without bombarding you with different details and exceptions. I think it's purely fun orientated in terms of allowing people to enjoy the campaign, to have either one-shot sessions or play the campaign and really make the best fun out of it. It's easy for families. I really enjoy that, and I really like the fact that you can play it with younger people, with kids, with mixed groups, etc. But it's definitely a game that I can enjoy playing with my you know, more experienced gamers in my gaming group and have no problem about it, because of course it's not a very complex dungeon crawler, but still it's an interesting and challenging dungeon crawler, which builds on the story, the choices, and the differences from story to story. Even though I've seen only one story, but I think I understood the way it works, and I've seen it how it works on story. The first story that I played, how the Evergems do different things depending on the color and depending on the story. How, for example, in one case you just follow the beaver and he moves from gem to gem and he's trying to go to the barn and all sorts of different things. I don't want to make any spoiler here if you don't want to see the playthrough, but it really brings different aspects in every single session. Now, I'm sure they're going to unlock a lot of different things. This is a game that I think a lot of people are going to like, both for the visual aspect, but also for the family-friendly approach, the cuteness of the components, the easy flow of the narration, of the gameplay style, of the experience, how accessible it is, I would say. Definitely one of its you know, sparkling perks is the looks and the ease of playing, meaning that you can get easily into the game. I really like the fact that they offer a quick start guide for players who don't want to read rules. Okay, it may sound that you know, the rule video was a bit lengthy, but I just replaced essentially the rule book, so I explained everything in great detail so that everybody can understand, even if they didn't play any dungeon crawlers. So I don't know, I think this is a game that is going to be loved and liked by a lot of people. I just want to see how the story progresses. I'm really, now I'm going to have to wait for the production. I'm supposed to play the rest of the stories and the campaign, but I'm really curious about the campaign, and I play a lot of complex dungeon crawlers with a lot of nice arcs, different stories, different you know, directions, and nice full narrative story and theme. I don't have a game like that, meaning I think this game is geared towards being played a lot, being easily to pull out from the shelf and drop it on the table, have fun, explore the narration aspect, explore one session out of it, one session shots, I mean, the story, single chapter, single story chapter mode, or how it's called. I'm really curious to find out about this twister that they're going to reveal during the campaign. I'm sure there's going to be also more different gameplay and more different things to be discovered there, so I'm going to follow the campaign closely. Do the same if you want by following the link in the description of the video. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you liked what you've seen, at least in terms of explanation, and give you good understanding and decide if the game is for you or not. Until the next time, many thanks for watching.